Welcome back coders, this is Suraj Kelhe. In this video, I will build a CRUD API with gRPC. CRUD stands for Create, Read, Update and Delete. And what is gRPC? gRPC is a high performance open source universal RPC framework. RPC stands for Remote Procedure Calls. That is, procedures will be running on server and client can directly call those procedures with the help of RPCs. Building an API with gRPC is lots more faster than building with normal HTTP and JSON. Why? Because gRPC uses protocol buffers to transfer data. What are protocol buffers? Protocol buffers to transfer data uses bytes format, as compared to HTTP, which normally sends data in JSON, which is normal string format. And in JSON, the problem is that whenever you send data, it will encode and decode it. It's a lot more slower than gRPC. So as per this blog, gRPC is roughly 7 times faster than REST when receiving data and roughly 10 times faster than REST when sending data for specific payload. This is mainly due to tight packing of protocol buffers and use of HTTP2 by gRPC. You can use gRPC across various data centers. Like suppose in backend you create multiple microservices, and rather than using normal HTTP requests to connect them with each other, it's better to use gRPC to connect those microservices. You can also use gRPC for last mile distributed computing to connected device like IoTs. gRPC uses protocol buffers, which in turn are transferred in byte. That's why their size is very small. That's why in IoT devices where you need to think a lot about memory, gRPC is way better than HTTP. And you can also use it in mobile application, in streaming, just like Netflix is using gRPC in their application. Also, gRPC provides pluggable support for load balancing, tracing, health checking and authentication. So now we are going to start building our application. First, create your project folder. Then cd into it, create a protos directory. In this folder, we will be writing our .proto file. Since gRPC works on protocol buffer, we create .proto file touch movies app.proto. Every time you build a microservices with a gRPC, make a separate folder for protos. After that, code on .proto file. In this proto file, you need to write your services and the messages. Okay, messages will be objects, just like variables in our languages. Here in proto file, we writing services, and in that services we are writing RPC calls. First you need to write syntax equals proto3. This will be the first line of every proto file. Then there will be optional variables like option go package moviesapp.com/grpc/protos. This is our go package name. Java multiple files will be used when suppose you are creating Java applications with protocol buffers. This Java package name. So when you compile the protocol buffers, all the classes will be in this package. For our Go programming, I have added this line to my proto file. While importing in our server, at that time you will realize why I have added this line. In every proto file you need to add a package and give some name. Here I am giving movies app. I have told you that we are creating services and then RPC calls. So here service, this will be syntax. Service is a keyword, then movie is our service name, curly braces, and here inside we will be writing RPC calls which will be get movies. So here this is the syntax. First RPC get movies empty returns stream of movies info. So empty and movie info are messages in protoc, which we are going to define later. You must give something inside here, and we don't want to send any data to the server. We are just want to call get movies. That's why we are writing empty. And rather than sending all the data at once, with gRPC you can provide single direction stream or multi-direction stream as well. So here this will be a server stream and it will be transferring movies info object one by one. Just like that we are defining get movies. Here we are supplying ID and it returns the movie info of that ID. Here create movie. Here we are supplying movie info and it returns the generated ID for that movie info. Update movie, client is sending movie info object and server returns status. Delete movie, client is sending that ID of the movie and server is deleting the movie and returning its status. Now RPC calls are created. You need to give semicolons at the end of each line, else there will be a compile time error. Now we need to define some messages. This is our empty messages. Message is a keyword, empty is our own name, anything you can give, and curly braces. This is our syntax. Now we are going to define movie info message. In movie info object there will be the syntax of the field. First one is its type, then its name and equals 1. This 1 is not a value. This 1 will be aliased to this. Since the proto file will be present at the client and server on the both sides, so both will know that in movies info object this ID's alias is 1. So while sending data, the product will just write 1 and just send its value. But in normal JSON, what happens every time we send data, we need to write key and value. That's why here, without using keys, we are just referring to their aliases. One ISBN equals 2, and here fourth one is messages in messages. Here will be creating a new message named director. We will be adding that message in here. Message director string first name 1 string last name equals 2. There will be ID string value equals 1 semicolon. Last message is our int32 value 1. Here you need to remember that there is no normal int. You need to give int32 or int64. We have created our proto file. Now we need to compile it. For that we will be installing Proto compiler. Use go install to install Proto compiler. Also install grpc. Now check Proto version. After that, add a go path to this directory. Go env go path and check our project folder and this go path. So our project is located outside the go path. That's why we will be getting errors like whenever you use go get command. It is necessary to add go path. We will be exporting go path, export path. This is how you export variable to the path in Mac. After that, you will be creating go mod init. Okay, so cannot determine module path. See here we have said movies.com/grpc. We will be using this go mod init. You need to give module name, and all the things, all the files in this project will be related to that module name. Just like this proto file is related to module name which is at its base /protos. Now go mod tidy. So what go mod tidy does that it will check all our project and check if there are certain libraries which go needs to pull. After that, go mod tidy will arrange all of that, and this is our go mod file. Now after that, we need to compile this proto file. For that, this is the command. Use protoc to compile it. This is syntax. Protoc go out dot go up package source relative. Since the protoc file is located in protos, then there will be two files generated which are clients and server stubs. It will be in the same directory as protos. If you give another directory here, then this file will be compiled and stored there. Just like that, this is grpc out and enter. Now, as you can see, these two files have been created, moviesapp.pb.go and moviesapp_grpc.pb.go. So what these two files contain? First file will just simply contain messages, means like all the functions for these messages like get, function, put, and the second file grpc will contains the services and function rpc calls. Now create our server. Here I have created our server folder and then created a main.go file in it. First, in our main.go file, we will be declaring package main, importing certain packages, context, grpc package, google.golang.org/grpc package, log package, random package, protos package, which is generated by this proto file, net package, and string count package. This package will provide context. This will be provide grpc functions, log our output to generate a random number. This package will provide all the functionalities in this for this proto file which we required. Through this package will be used to listen the server, and this package is to convert an integer to string. Here this is an alias of this package pb. So whenever we are referring any of this, either rpc call or a message, we will be using pb.this message. Like suppose if we are referring movie info object, so what we will be using pb.movie_info struct. See, when you compile using Proto compiler, this message gets converted into a struct. In this you will find movie info. See, this type struct. So using pb.movie_info, we are referring to this movie info. So you need to understand that. So most of the time while sending and receiving this movie info package, we will be using ampersand of pb.movie_info. Just like a struct, if we received a data in this movie info package, how we will be referring to it? We are received in this package. So this is input parameter, just like this, name and type. So how we will be referring to its getting the data inside it, like if you want to get title, how we will be getting in dot get title. That's how you will be getting it. This is just a basic information which you need to know. And if you want to save something, like suppose to get data, use this syntax. And if you want to update data, update this struct in dot, suppose you want to update the id in dot id equals like this struct, you can update like this. So now we will be start our coding. First we will be declaring a constant, a port where our server will be running. Then here we are not using any database, we are using slices of Golang. Slices are a combinational structure in Golang. Here this is a slice of this struct, that is pb.movieinfo. Star means address. This slice will store multiple movies object. After that we will be declaring. So in our server, every service needs to have this type of struct, and in that you need to write this pb.unimplemented movie server. Movie means the service name and server. Here you can find in grpc, check it out, this is our server. So here we are just calling that. See, you should not confuse with all of these things, because these are simply things which we are calling. This grpc file contains service and their rpc calls, so you don't need to afraid it. Now next will be our function main. That's it. First we will be init movies. This init movies will initialize our movie slices list for net.listen, tcp and port. So this will be used for listening. Log.fatal, if there is an error, just log the error. Here we are declaring, this is our main, just look at it, grpc.new server. Okay, whenever you are running grpc server, you must create this element. Okay, now pb.register movie server. So we are referring to this function in this package, register movie server, and inside here we will be giving our server element and this struct ampersand of our struct. Here you can give any name like abc and here and ampersand of abc, but this should not change. And here add curly braces to it. Now print log server is listening at this address, and just.serve at this listen, and if there is an error, just print it. Now means our grpc server is ready, but we need to implement rpc calls, so that whenever that rpc is received, means suppose client call that rpc call, then if there is no rpc definition here defined, our server will give error. That's why we need to define our rpc call. Okay, first we will just declare our init movies. We will be referring to this movie info struct, adding the key values, title, Batman, director. Here again, this is the key, and value will be again ampersand pb.director struct. Here again first name, last name, and just like that movie too. And we will be append use to the slice. Append function add new element to the slice. Now here we are adding two new elements to our slice database. Now here we have already created a struct, and you know the methods in Golang are basically functions with this struct. Okay, yes, star movie server struct name. Okay, your struct name, and then rpc call. RPC calls get movies. Just like that, there will be 5 RPC calls. See, the way we declare RPC functions for streaming and for normal data is different. So here we are streaming a movie info from the server. That is, client is streaming movie info from the server. Okay, so this will be the syntax first. Client will be returning an empty message, and it will be streaming it from the get movie server. So for that pb underscore, see, it is also present here. Okay, this is an interface. So okay, so we are referring to this stream interface and return the error. Now printing the log of whatever data is received. This log will be useful in every RPC function. I am writing logs because if there is any problem with the received data, you can debug it. What we are doing, that we are going through all the movies stored in our slice using range function for range, and this is a key index and a value. Key value means index and item. We are discarding the index, that's why underscore, and streaming the output, that is movie. Okay, movie is of type this ampersand of pb.movieinfo. Okay, that's why we can send it. If you send a wrong type, there will be runtime error. And just print the error, and if all the movies sent to the client, then return nil. Now you have understand this RPC call. It's as simple as that. Now we will be creating these 4 RPC calls. now get movie method. Here we have two parameters. One is context. See, this is an interface. It means that this already contains this context. Okay, so that's why we don't need to write it. But where there is no streaming, you need to mention the context. After that, this is the received object, that is ID. We are receiving ID struct and we are giving it name in. We are returning movie info and error. Now printing logs. Here at the start, I am just initializing response with it. In this struct, all the fields are empty. Now I'm again going to range, means going through all the elements of the slice. If the movie.getID equals in.getValue. See, get value, why? Because in Proto File, our field of the ID is value. That's why get value. And our field of this movie info is ID, get ID. Now you understand how these things work. If mismatch is found, just return it, break and just return ris, nil. We are going to create our third RPC function, which is create movie. We will be adding new movie element to our slice. This is a context movie info. We will be receiving movie info and just returning our generated ID of that movie. Just print log. We are again creating the response object with empty value. I have already explained, if you want to give ID, so how you can initialize it, like this way. Here we are doing it. Okay, ris.value equals string con.I to a. So this package, what it does, that random int generates a random integer, and to convert that integer into string, we are using this string con package. That in.id equal to ris.getValue. This in the struct we are storing it, and here we are getting that value. You can also declare any temporary variable to store that. I just want to avoid it. Okay, so here in.id, here we have received the movie info in this element. It contains all the movie details, needs an ID. So we are giving it an ID and appending it to movies. Okay, and returning our response, which is an ID. Now third one is our update movie. Here our logic will be, first check out the parameter input and output parameters. Okay, so first in this method, input parameters are context and movie info. Output parameters are status and error. We are printing log of our input and we are declaring our status response object, then ranging through movies. If we found a match for the update, what we are going to do, that we are first going to remove that movie from our slice. So we are just shifting elements to the left, so that means that element will get removed and we are again adding it, movie.getID. Now we just need to add an ID to it and append it. So we are removing it and appending it to at the end. And since our means we have updated the movie, so set status of value, means value, okay, as 1 and break and then return address of ris. Okay, here you must be confused. I have here means I have in return there is an ampersand here, and why not? Because see, while declaration we have used ampersand here, but while declaration there is no ampersand here. Now let's go to the next function, that is delete movie. Input parameters are context and ID, and output are status and error. We are logging received input, creating our status which is empty. Then we are going through all the movies. If we found a match with that ID, just remove it. Okay, we are again going to use the same function to remove it. Add the value as 1, means status, set status to 1, break the loop, return address ampersand of ris and no error. So our server file has been created. Okay, now we will be running it. So before running, so what do you do, that you can use go fmt-s-w main.go file. So what it does, that it will, if there is suppose error or not, means it will arrange it properly, like okay, I will show. Okay, so it will get arranged properly so that your code looks neat and clean. Okay, after that go to back, use go mod tidy. Okay, so now see, it's checking whether the these packages are available in our module or not. If not available, it will download it and it will create a go.sum which has all of that. Okay, see, our go.mod has been updated. Now we can run our server. Clear? Go run server main.go. Okay, hello. See, our server is listening at port 5051. This represents any IP address. Okay, so now we will be creating a client. We will be requesting this server from the client. We have created our client folder, and in that there is a we have created main.go file. This file will be a client side file which we use to make connection to the server and execute RPC calls. Okay, now let's start our coding. This is package we declare package main. We need to make certain imports like context, grpc, io, log, and our protos is okay time. Okay, now we are declaring address, which will be the address of our server. Then in the main function, first make connection to grpc. Here using grpc.dial, we give address with insecure and with block. We are making connection to our grpc server, and if there is no server, it will print did not connect and connection dot close. Then if there is a connection, then what would we do? That we will create a new client using our protos. Okay, the client is new movie client. Now here you can see that in this package there is already a function called as new movie client. Okay, based on the server, this client will be created based on the service. Okay, here if we declare multiple services, then as per the service you can create, there will be new client required for each new service. Okay, so client is only for movie service, and give the connection. Now these are the functions which we will be calling. First one we will call get movies. Okay, let's try it. Client pb movie client. Okay, ctx cancel. So first we are declaring just main function, means run get movies, and there is parameter called as client. After that we need to define a context with context dot with timeout, context dot background, and time dot second. It means that this function will try to request our grpc server for certain time. Okay, and using defer cancel, what it does, that it will just cancel it at the end. Okay, now what we are going to do, that we are going to create a new request. Okay, this is a empty string. See, since what we need to send, client need to send an empty message. Okay, so we are creating that stream comma error. Since we will be streaming, so there should be a stream object, client dot get movie ctx comma request. Now if there is an error, just print the error. Okay, if error is not equal to nil, for row comma error stream dot receive. So what it does, that whatever if we are receiving any stream, this for loop will keep running, and at the end, if the stream closes, at that time this if error equals to io dot end of file, at that time we will breaking out of this loop. Then if there is no else, so what if there is an error in receiving stream itself, then we will print that error, and at the end we will logging out movie info on each stream. Next we are going to declare get movie object. Okay, function. So what run get movie does, that it will send an id to the our grpc server, and our server will return movie details. Okay, client movie id string. Then we are again creating context and defer cancel. After that we are creating a request object which is an id, and here we are giving its field, that is value is movie id. After that response comma error equals client dot get movie ctx comma request. So this get movie will return two parameters. Okay, two values, one is response and one is error. Here you can see that in our main dot server, get movie returns two values, one is movie info and one is error. So and on the client side we will be receiving those values. If there is error, if error not equal to nil, print the error, else print the movie details. Similarly we will be creating a create movie, means we will be calling create movie function. At that time we need to pass details of movies like ISBN, title, first name of director and last name. Then here similarly we need to create context and defer cancel. Okay, defer will run at the end of the function. So request, we are creating a movie info struct, and here we are supplying those value in this struct, this ISBN key, and this is the value which we received in this function. title, and here we are writing title. Just like that, see, check out the director. Here we are again declaring a new struct. This is of struct type director pv.director first name. This is a field of this director, and here we are just entering this input first name last name. Now we are calling our making an rpc call using client.create movie ctx comma request, and just if error not equal to nil, print error using log.fatalf. Okay, now we are going to check the return value. Okay, if get response.get value is not equal to empty string, then we are just printing create movie id. Okay, it means that movie has been successfully created in our database, and this is its id. Now next function which we are creating is run update movie. Here again we are supplying details of the movie in the as a parameters, and in function itself we are creating context and then defer cancel. After that, creating a request object which is movie info itself, then give supplying the fields of movie info struct with its values, just like which we did in earlier function. And after that we are calling making a call to that update movie rpc to the okay, and two values will be written. One is and error. If there is no error, then you can just check what you are going to do. You are going to check the status. If the status equals 1, update movie success, else update movie failed. Now similar will be the case of a delete movie. We are just making rpc calls. Okay, creating a context, defer cancel. After that, creating a request object, supplying its fields with our values movie id, then making an rpc call using client object client dot delete movie ctx and request. If error not equal to nil, then print log of, and if there is no error, just print the status that delete movie success, else delete movie failed. So now our client has been created successfully. Now let's run our client. First we will be running get movies. Now as we did with our golang, means our server, we are going to use go fmt-s-w client main.go and go mod id. After that, go run client main.go. See, it's not running. Why? Because we have closed our server. Now let's run our server. Go run main.go. After that, we are going to run our client, and see it is supplying two details, means two movies which are already initialized movies. Now in the next function, what we are going to do, we are going to get movie. We are going to supply client and movie id which is 1. Go run. Okay, see, now we have supplied the movie and send the id 1, and we get the data with that id. Let's move to third function. Here we are going to create a movie, and it will return the movie id. We are just writing some name, create movie. Go run create movie id. This is the value of the create movie. Okay, if you run again the get movies function, what you will see here, it will return 3 values. Like, okay, check this out, this third one Stanley, which we just created. Now what we are going to do, that we are going to update it rather than updating the details. So here we are going to update this. Enter ISBN, enter title, and this name will be Peter Parker. Now we have already created it. Now we are going to call this function update movie success. Now again we are going to get movies, run get all movies. See, this first name and last name gets updated. All the details are same. Okay, now in the last, what we are going to do, that we are going to delete movie. We are just going to supply this id. Okay, delete movie success. Now what we are going to do, that we are going to get all the movies which are in database. Again, see, there are only 2 movies remaining. It means that our movie gets removed from our slice. Okay, so this is how you build a CRUD application with grpc. In this video, I hope that you have learned something new. To watch more such videos, subscribe to our channel 1 Minute Notes. Thank you.